My name is Martin Rein-Cano. I am the director of Topotek 1 in Berlin. We are very glad to have been invited to this interesting venue. I would like to thank Dominique Perrault as the director of the Biennale and wish you all the best exhibition in the next for the next weeks. So when we started to work on the commission, we started to think about things we've been doing beforehand in Korea. One of them being the Yong Serpentine Gallery, a study we developed in which actually the tradition of having art collections, very common for entities, for big families and industries in Korea to set up their own museums. We thought maybe it would be an interesting idea that this could become a kind of collection of collections, let's say, that it wouldn't be just these different collections scattered in the city, but that they could join, let's say, this high line, creating a linear museum of several kilometers to be capable of visiting. So we thought, how can we maybe start to think about how this whole project could be started? However, meanwhile, working on this project, we also started to think, what does it mean to work in another country? And what does it mean to work, let's say, in the context of an exhibition? And the discussions among us started to go in direction of appropriation, copying, translation, all strategies that have been very immanent to our design work. So what means one is an object, an original, and one is an object, actually a copy, and how are transferences between cultures and how relevant are they, and how can they change actually way of thinking in different places. So and so I would like to quote here an Argentinian writer called Jorge Luis Borges, who once said that the original is unfaithful to the translation. So changing actually the causality of the original being this kind of God-given perfection that then becomes copied or let's say transformed, perverted into something less good than the original. And I would like to question this more than any time. I would like to question this nowadays in a time in which actually transitions, translations, translocations are kind of the standard cultural tools for us. So how can we implement this? So, and looking at the history, you can see that Europeans have been copying actually Asian, Korean, Chinese, Japanese architecture, let's say in a bad way, if you want. But also doing that, I would say a lot of ideas and a lot of thinking from Asia happen to come to the West and happen to influence a lot of things that we think about architecture. And this kind of back and forth of influences between different parts of the world, being the Japanese structuralism that has been very influential in the West and was going back and forth between the West and the East, being the rational movement that was very strong in Germany with the Bauhaus, etc., that then happened to influence a lot of ways people built in Asia, and obviously also in Seoul and in Korea. So we were thinking this is a strategy that we are used to work with, and we like to think what happens when you have this kind of same but different. What happens when there is transition between places and forms? And we did a project many years ago in Copenhagen called Superkin, in which we widely could experiment with this strategy. So translocating, transpositioning objects from different cultures, from one place to another, translating them into something else, and seeing what happens when you provoke this kind of transitions. What we did here in Seoul was actually similar. We said, as it is exposition exhibition, we said we want to do something that somehow belongs to the place, but is also like the Barcelona pavilion of Mies van der Rohe, something that is essentially out of time and place, let's say. And what we liked about the project we did here is that actually we copied some kind of, or tried to interpret some kind of Korean architecture, a traditional Korean architecture. And this interpretation came to us But this interpretation coming to Germany went back to Korea, being part of an exhibition. And so we like this kind of transition between worlds. And it's something that not only it has been a driver for economy, because a lot of procedures in industries have been copied by Korea in the last 30, 40 years to make Korea become one of the most successful countries in the world. And so looking also not only for a conceptual idea, but also which material and how to produce a project abroad, we actually thought that, that there's a very strong there's a very strong tradition, let's say, in working with steel, with metal, so that we thought it would be nice to work with this material. And this is the result of it. This is a picture taken a few days ago in the workshop where our project was developed and built. And looking at the picture, looking at the lighting especially, I got reminded of a movie I saw recently called Parasite. And I thought in the end that maybe an exhibition is some kind of infection, a kind of parasite situation where a lot of people come from different places and live in a strange, let's say, non-place. And so looking at the light of this place and the atmosphere of this place and the sense of non-place, it reminded me of the lighting in the basement of the Parasite movie. That's the reason we also changed slightly the title of my presentation and of this project. Thank you very much. I wish you all the best for this exhibition. Bye-bye.